You did it again today. You took the seat with your back to the wall. You glanced over your shoulder when nothing was there. You stepped into an empty house and felt it anyway. That cold prickle climbing the back of your neck. The quiet certainty that something was watching. You called it nothing, a habit, a nerve left over from a late-night film. It is not nothing. It is a memory, and it is older than your species. You have been handed a flattering story about what you are, the predator, the apex, the most dangerous animal that ever drew breath. In this century, behind glass and steel and locked doors, that story almost holds together. Run the clock backward, though, and it comes apart in your hands. For almost the entire history of your kind, your ancestors were not the hunters. They were the hunted. And the fear that brushed you today is what they left behind. Picture the creature you actually come from. Not tall, not fast, no claws worth the word, no fangs. A soft, slow, upright animal standing on a wide open plain, ringed by things that were built and sharpened to kill it. That was your family for far longer than your mind can hold. So the real question was never how your ancestors hunted their prey. The question is how they kept from becoming prey themselves. To feel the answer, you have to go underground. There is a cave in South Africa called Swartkrans. In the 1970s, a paleontologist named C.K. Brain spent years sorting through the broken bones packed into its floor. Among them, he found the skull of an early human child. 2 clean, round holes had been punched through the back of it. For a long time, no one could say what had made them. Then Brain lifted the lower jaw of a leopard and set its 2 long canine teeth against the holes. They slid in, a perfect fit. The marks in that child's skull were bite marks. Your distant cousin had been carried off by the head. How did the skull ever end up inside the cave? Picture the tree that once grew over its mouth. Leopards drag what they kill up into the branches, away from lions and hyenas, and feed there at their leisure. Bones slip from the branches into the dark hollow below. That cave was never a home. It was the floor beneath a predator's dinner table. For year upon year, your ancestors were not the painters of the cave. They were the leftovers in it. This is not one unlucky skeleton. This is the pattern. 2 anthropologists, Donna Hart and Robert Sussman, gathered the whole grim record into a single book with a blunt title, Man the Hunted. They went searching, on paper, for every predator that has ever fed on primates, and the list ran long and patient. Leopards, lions, hyenas, crocodiles waiting at the water's edge, pythons coiled in the grass, and out of the open sky, eagles. When the 2 of them measured how often predators still kill living monkeys and apes today, the numbers came back far higher than anyone had wanted to admit. For many groups, being eaten is not a rare and shocking tragedy. It is an ordinary way to die. Does the word prey sound a little different now? That last danger, the one that comes from the sky, brings you to a child who died almost 3 million years ago. The bones are known as the town child, found in South Africa in 1924. For 70 years, everyone simply assumed the child had died and been covered over by chance. Then a researcher named Lee Berger, working alongside the scientist Ron Clark, looked again at the strange damage around the eye sockets. He had seen wounds like that before. When eagles hunt monkeys, they sink their talons into the skull and hook the bone around the eyes to carry the body off. The town child had not merely died. It had been snatched from the ground and lifted into the air. One of the first famous ancestors of your entire line was eaten by a bird. Sit with that for a moment. Does the prickle on the back of your neck still feel like nothing? Here is where the story turns and where it stops being about death and starts being about you. Because being prey did not only kill your ancestors, it carved the ones who lived. Slowly, across uncountable generations, the pressure of being hunted built almost everything you are quietly proud of. Start with the group. A single hominin alone on that plain was simply a meal that had not been eaten yet. A band was something else entirely. Many pairs of eyes, many voices to throw up an alarm, a wall of bodies that even a leopard would hesitate to rush. So the ones who survived to become you were the ones who could not stand to be alone, who stayed close, who felt safe only inside the circle of the others. You did not pick up your hunger for company by accident. You inherited it from the only ancestors who lived long enough to have children. The loners were eaten. Then there are your eyes. There is a striking theory, argued by the anthropologist Lynn Isbell, that the sharpness of primate vision was carved out by one silent enemy hiding in the grass, the snake. The individuals who could pick a coiled snake out of a chaos of leaves the fastest were the ones who lived to pass those eyes forward. Want to feel the leftover wiring? A snake in a photograph will snag your attention faster than almost anything else in the frame.
That is not curiosity. That is an alarm bell older than language. Even your first moments carried it. Lay a newborn down too suddenly and the small body flings its arms wide, then clutches back at the air, grasping for something to hold. It is called the Moro reflex. The most haunting explanation is that it is the ghost of an older instinct, from a time when a human infant clung to its mother while she fled across open ground, and a baby that lost its grip lost everything. Your child does it? You did it. It's one of the very first things your body ever knew how to do, and at its root it is a reflex about not being left behind in the path of something hungry. And then there is fear itself. A century ago, the physiologist Walter Cannon gave the rush of it a name you still use today: fight or flight. But underneath fight and flight lies something older and stranger: the freeze, the held breath, the whole body going to stone, because a predator's eye is built above all to catch movement, and the creature that did not so much as twitch sometimes lived to see the morning. When you lie rigid at 3 in the morning listening to a house that is only creaking and cooling, you are not malfunctioning. You are running the oldest program there is. So look squarely at the truth sitting in the center of all this. You are not descended from the lions. You are descended from the things the lions ate. And precisely that is the reason you are clever, the reason you are social, and the reason you are afraid. The writer Barbara Ehrenreich pushed the idea one step further. In a book called Blood Rights, she argued that the deepest passions a human can feel, the fierce pull to stand shoulder to shoulder against a shared threat, may not spring from the thrill of the hunt at all. They may come from the exact opposite, from the prey animal's ancient need to draw close and form ranks when something out in the dark has decided it is hungry. The fierce warmth you feel inside a crowd that shares an enemy is at its root the warmth of the herd pulling tight. Now the thing you walked in carrying finally makes sense. The dark that still feels dangerous even when you know the room is empty. The instinct to glance over your shoulder on a silent street. The way a single unexplained sound in a quiet house can drop straight through your chest and turn your legs to water. Your body is not overreacting to modern life. It is doing the one job it was refined across 1,000,000 years to do: keep you breathing until the sun comes back. This is also why the old alarm can quietly hurt you now. The neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky has spent a career on a simple, brutal point. Your stress response was engineered for a 90-second sprint away from a set of teeth, not for a mortgage, an inbox, or a slow Sunday night dread that never quite ends. The body floods itself for an emergency that used to be over in moments. When that same flood has nowhere to go, day after day after day, it slowly begins to corrode the very animal it was built to save. The leopard, at least, eventually let you stop running. So here is a question only you can answer. Tonight, alone in the dark. When the fear arrives for no reason at all, what does your body actually choose? Do you go still, or do you run? Sit honestly with it, because both of those answers kept someone alive long enough to eventually become you. The plane is gone now. The leopards are behind fences or behind glass. No eagle is circling your street. And still you take the seat with your back to the wall. Still you check the back seat of the car before you climb in. Still some stubborn part of you wants a single light left burning. The world changed in the space of an eye blink. The wiring never got the message. You are a hunted animal set down in a world that has mostly stopped hunting you, carrying a fear that no longer has a face to point at. You even feed it on purpose. You pay for the horror film. You ride the roller coaster up to the top of the drop. You creep toward the edge of the high balcony just to feel the old current run through you. A small, safe taste of being prey, swallowed for fun, because some part of you still needs the rehearsal. But that fear is not your flaw. It is your inheritance. It is 10,000 generations of ancestors who were quick enough, watchful enough, frightened enough, and loyal enough to the group to survive one more night. Every single one of them was prey. Every single one of them lived long enough to pass the flame along. You are the unbroken far end of that chain, standing here, reading this, completely safe, and still feeling it. So the next time you step into an empty house and feel that cold hand settle on the back of your neck, the one that turns you around when there is nothing standing there, you will finally know it for what it is. It is not nothing. It is them, the hunted ones who came before you, still scanning the dark on your behalf. Still, after all this time, keeping you alive.